Hello everybody, Cedric Kennedy here, CR Wrestling Commentary, and this will be Fandom Memories WCW, which stood for World Championship Wrestling. And this was suggested by Jimmy Whisper, and I've been thinking about it for days. I mean, when you think about it, WCW, there were so many wrestlers, and then so many characters, so many ins and outs. I mean, how do you cover that in less than 10 hours? To cover every wrestler, every situation, you can't. That's just not gonna. I've been racking my brain on how to do this, and even today, racking my brain, and I've been really, mentally struggling to figure out how to approach this since the day it was suggested by Jimmy Whisper. And there's really nothing I can think of. In truth, I'm gonna be honest with you. And right now I hit record just to force myself to say something finally. And sometimes when you put on the spot, when you put on when the pressure's on, that's when you can figure things out. And so that's what I'm hoping that this will do. So I thought the best way to come across this was just how can I say, what I saw, the changes. What I thought of said changes, maybe there weren't changes, because remember everyone, this is Fandom Memories. This isn't a deep dive. This isn't me going back through history and then trying to put things together and say, oh, that's what it means, so now I'll speak in hindsight. This is how I felt predominantly at the time when I'm seeing or observing or whatnot. So, let me jump into this, all right? And I hope you're entertained. I hope that you like what you hear. Some people, you might be annoyed that my face isn't on screen or something like that. But you know what? I don't want, if you're driving or just working around the house, I don't need you staring at my face or some graphics on the screen. It's more like, get the stuff done. Just hear my voice and chill. Do your thing, right? Safety first. And besides, if I did have my face on the screen, I really, really want to wear a wrestling mask, okay? Just to be honest, I want to wear a wrestling mask because, yes, that would be awesome. So let's jump on in, all right? For those that's hung around this long, because most people stop it after about a minute or so. Twitter minds, can't help them. Attention span is the thing. Blame your local governments, not necessarily yourselves or others. In any case, so World Championship Wrestling, my Fandom Memories. So this is my first wrestling promotion observing. And so when I come across this, it's at my grandma's house. It's late night. It's like, I'm assuming 12 in the morning. That's usually when anything decent would come on. Before that, it was hard pressed to find it, and you had channel. Wow, this is before cable. Before cable, so it was channel 5 is what might come up on the screen or something, but the knob would say 12. And sometimes you got 12 in the knob at the bottom with other numbers, so that's how you get to like Counterforce 40 and stuff like that. So it was like channel 5, channel 10, channel 12, which sometimes was a different channel 5. It's just weird. And so basically you just I look at the dial, I turn until I can see like, okay, this is where this is, and this channel at this time leads to this. And that's that's all I could get. But this was I would see wrestling on and off. Okay, since I was real small, since like being 10 or whatnot. And I would see wrestling. I didn't know what it was. It's just sometimes I just see a ring, see some people in it. I don't know what's going on. Sometimes I assume it's boxing without gloves, and I didn't like boxing that much at the time, so I just clicked past it. And honestly, it could have been any promotion. It might have been UWF. It could have been WWF. Well, I think WWF or whatnot back in 1980. Say 86, 87. And no, it wasn't a triple. It was just WWF. And I didn't know what was what. There's a ring, there's people in it. So late night, I'm watching and I'm just looking because Doctor Who was going off, Benny Hill, Tripods, the Jeffersons. I think I tried to watch Monty Python's Flying Circus, didn't really get it. And then I'm just clicking through. I can speak, and I'm clicking through, turning that knob, you got to, you know, like just heavy ratchet. And then I hear this voice, and I see this blue ring, and I'm attracted to blue. That's just my color. Okay, so yeah, X-Men people, I would just marry Mystique before learning about anything beyond that. I'd just be like, you're blue, you're wearing white, let's do this, let's get married, let's roll. And then she'd probably kill me, and I'd be like, that was a mistake, but I loved your color until the end. Your blue was amazing. So I see this, and I see Sting in the ring. He's going against Flair, and they're wrestling. Sting's wearing, you know, this I don't know, parrot green. Flair's in this, I don't know, it's not a deep purple, but it's not those pink ones or the lavender. It's somewhere much darker than lavender, but not quite purple. Anyway, they're wrestling, they're doing their thing. I'm not really understanding what's going on, but I'm seeing them. They're, you know, it's a short match, and it ends in a DQ. Don't know what it's about. Don't understand what a DQ is. It said disqualification, but that's a term I'd not heard. And this is like 2 years after I discover, you know, I mean, I'm like, you know, clicking through, and then, you know, you play, you lose track of time. It's been some years. Next thing you know, you look, it's again late night. That's when it happened. So 86. So yeah, 2.5 to 3 years, roughly thereof. You know, so this is like 88 when this is taking place. And there's a lot of controversy. People are angry. Something doesn't go right. I don't know what. It was just weird. I didn't really care. But I couldn't help it. I was drawn to it. So when I go back to my grandmother's to stay for the weekend, Friday night, I'm watching wrestling again. And they're well, see, I see the Midnight Express, Stan Lane, Bobby Eaton. It's the ones I noticed. And they're wearing the more lavender-ish colors. And I see the Rock and Roll Express, and I see that stuff. You know, my first pay-per-view, Capital Combat 90, the return of RoboCop, and I didn't understand that. And so I wanted to see it. What's RoboCop gonna do? That was the selling point. What's RoboCop gonna do? And what's gonna happen with Ric Flair in the cage? You know, I think it's Flair and Luger, I think. See, I got the tape, but I have not watched that in so long. Yeah, I recorded every pay-per-view. That was money. Can't just order it, watch it, and be like, I got memories of it. No. If I had a VCR right now, I'd be watching all these tapes. But I've been watching it, and then, you know, Sting is locked in the cage at the pay-per-view. The Horsemen are trying to get into the ring. And RoboCop comes down. He gets to the cage door that Sting is trapped in, a small cage where they put the managers and whatnot. They want to keep him away from the other teams. And he rips the bars off. I mean, he just yank them off. It looks really good. And I'm like, whoa. But I was like, this dude is not really walking that fast. He's not really a threat. Why don't they just drop kick him over if they get too close? You know, just go up, drop kick him right in the chest. He should fall over. That's what I was thinking, because I was like, this RoboCop ain't sturdy like the movie one. You know, movie magic can do some things. Right here, no magic. None, nada. So I see Sting go up. He tries to get in the cage. Something happens. Ole and Arn grab a hold of him. Sting falls. He's holding his leg or his knee. He's getting up. He's trying to fight. They won't show the camera. They won't put the camera back on him. I don't know what's going on. And so, you know, Ric Flair retains. He's covered in blood. There's Barry Windham. Flair's all crazy-eyed and can barely get his words together, holding that belt. I mean, just covered in blood, because that's just Flair. I'd never seen something like that. That was rowdy. That was crazy. It made me think that there's a buildup. There's a thing. So that's when I starting to be like, you know what? Hook me. You know, this was good. You know, so I never liked bullies. I had been bullied in school. That never stopped. I'd seen people get bullied. So seeing somebody be a jerk and then someone trying to take them down, that was just right. It just felt right. Yeah, get him. So I'm cheering for the good guy, as I'd call him then. You know, and then WCW had matches like that, tag team and stuff. And I didn't understand about policy changes and things like that. It's just, no, I'm just watching, and the Steiners are there. Well, Rick is and whatnot, and then, you know, Scott there, and then Woman, all this other stuff. It was drama. It was stories that I didn't like too much the way they introduced them, because it didn't look, how can I say this? It's like you watch a movie and it's so cleared up and clean. You're like, whoa, man, that'd be cool to be there. It's so vibrant, yada, yada. But real life, if you were there, it would not be close to that cleaned up, vibrant and whatnot. And it's worse when you have Disney type movies that are like modern Technicolor. It look like the walls are some kind of candy or fruit. They're so vibrant. So when it comes to that, just think about when the camera looks dull and gritty, where you're like, whoa, 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 whoa. I have to clear my eyes to figure out what's going on. And me not being one, I'm just a kid. I'm like, this don't make sense to me. And I did like seeing the introduction of Doom, Simmons and Butch Reed. I had seen them before, so I was like, black dudes in the mask. One of them's Ron Simmons. No. I was like, one of them's Butch Reed, because I'd seen him. And they both had relatively similar bodies, to me anyway. I mean, ain't like I paid that much attention, but I paid enough attention. And, I mean, it won't Luger under that mask. So, I was, it's stuff like that. And then, those storylines, Doom and the Steiners, Road Warriors and Doom, Road Warriors and the Steiners, Sting and Luger teamed up. It was sort of a dream team that didn't mesh. I wasn't a fan of them. The Horsemen. I mean, I started getting into WCW just as WCW started becoming erratic. And I think that's the problem that I had as a kid, because it was nothing that I could sit down and just say, I get this. It was always something like, why is this happening? Okay, who is this person? I didn't understand. Hey, you got somebody's new to your company, you want to bring them in, introduce them somehow, right? I didn't get that. I didn't understand that. I didn't know any of that. I just thought, you find somebody you like on the street or something, or something like that. He's like, hey, we could use you here, There were points where I was like, man, when I get older, maybe some wrestling promoter might see me and just say, hey, man, you want to wrestle or something? And, come to our company, hey, a little kid didn't know stuff like that. Didn't understand how that mess go. I remember once there was a small, weird point in WCW at this stage. It was like 90, good grief. I think it was the summer or the spring of 90. And it lasted until 91 or 2. I think it was 91. It only lasted it was weird. It was like Rick Steiner and Norman Norman the Lunatic. I was with it to an extent. But what I was going to say is before that, before I threw myself off topic here, I saw an ad in the paper. I was 13. And the ad in the paper was to become a professional wrestler. Professional wrestling tryouts. And it cost $250 for a single tryout. And it was not in the heart of North Carolina where I lived. It was like Winston-Salem or Asheville or something. And I was like, honestly, I'm like, I didn't even know them places existed. You know, you learn about states and cities, not all the counties. And honestly, I still don't know all the counties. You know, there's a sub area called Bronx, North Carolina. I was like, what? So just let y'all know, anyone that's from North Carolina or residing in, maybe not born in, I cheer for. I don't really care about this state, but I live here, so let there be some fun. So seeing people like Norman the Lunatic, I'm gonna give you this. I was not all that believing of Norman because it didn't make sense, and I thought if this guy is actually out of his mind, how did he get to be in this company? Because I'm used to lunatics being taken off the street and you never hear from them again, and going through shock therapy and beatings and in padded rooms and stuff. I'm like, how does this dude become a pro wrestler? So it just didn't mesh with me. The Road Warriors wasn't going to mesh, but then I was like, okay, they take the spike pads off. That's cool. They take that off. That's good. That's good. And then I see the Great Muta, and he's there, and I don't see him much. And he obviously was there for a while, but I didn't get a chance to see him much. And I was like, whoa, this guy is awesome. I couldn't make up my mind if I liked him or disliked him. He never spoke. Gary Hart always spoke for him. And let's see, he was at a Halloween Havoc, which I thought was an alright pay-per-view. I didn't really understand too much. He went up to the top. He got zapped by the cage, and I don't know, he was trying to escape. It was just weird. I don't know, just things in that period just didn't make too much sense. And who else showed up? First time I saw Kevin Nash, he was Oz. I was like, why y'all doing the Wizard of Oz thing? You know, and what do you have, the Games Master, the Taskmaster or something? And everyone was like, that's Kevin Sullivan. And someone was like, and at the same time, who else? They thought it was Jimmy Garvin, you know, Jimmy Jam Garvin. And so, you know, me and my friends were always talking about like, who's the Game Master or the Taskmaster. But Oz was like, it's a big dude. And then Oz goes away. I like his music though as Oz. I thought it was really cool. You know, but he goes away, he comes back, and then he's Vinny Vegas. I was like, that's Oz. Why did he change his name? And why is he looking like this? Okay, finishing move, Snake Eyes. Okay, and they're just characters. And it's weird because I was like, why are they doing this? It's like they're working. Because when I started watching, it was wrestling. It was battle. It was get this belt or win this match. And now I'm like, why are they just looking like characters? And I was like, that just don't make sense to me. I don't want a character. I want to see a wrestler. That's what I saw. I saw wrestlers, you know. Okay, maybe it fits the personality. Maybe they just think of them a certain way. You know, I'm trying to make all the excuses, and people around me, wrestling's fake. You know, wrestling's fake. And I didn't understand what fake was. Because they tell me, here's the thing, everybody. If you're going to talk to somebody about something and you have no context, then you have failed. You have outright, unmitigatedly failed. Because they would tell me, it's fake. You know wrestling's fake, right? It's not real. And I'm like, He got slammed on that mat and bounced. I mean, how do you fake that? Like, the punches are fake, you know, they don't hit each other for real. And I'm like, why is it making that slapping sound? I've been hit in the face. It sounded the same way. You know, they get hit and they almost instantly recover. That's how it was for me. You know, people fight me, they hit me in the face, and I'm like, okay, it ain't like you get thrown for a loop. You know, I thought it was a little odd when they get hit and go stumbling and falling back. I'm like, that don't really happen. But these guys are trained. They're trained in this like a boxer. Boxers get popped in the face all the time. You don't see them, you know, oh my God, I'm weary and no. So I was like, it must be a certain type of training. That's how I was seeing it. And they wouldn't, it's fake. How's it fake? Cause man, who gonna just lay there and wait for somebody to jump off the top rope onto you? I'm like, you got beat up enough, you're gonna lay there. I've seen people get hurt and they just lay there. You got time to go to the store, get a snack, come back and kick them in the head again. People didn't have good arguments. And by then I didn't care. If someone came on the screen and said, wrestling is a complete work, it's not real, we don't hit each other, when we slam each other, we're trained to make sure that we don't take that much damage. And I'd be like, well, you done failed that argument because we're trained to not take that much damage. That falls into my category of this is real. So there you go. You done screwed up. It's, you know, I'm still a little kid, you know, 13, 14 and whatnot. And I'm seeing these characters, and then WCW Saturday Night is there. And then that kind of goes away. It's like WCW Saturday Night would come on the Saturday morning and then replay at night at 6:05 on TBS, which was not channel 12 anymore. It was channel 13 on Grandma's Knob. On that old TV, it was channel 13. And so Saturday morning cartoons, and then I see wrestling. Now I got a choice to make. If that cartoon's a rerun and I do remember that episode, I'm gonna watch wrestling. And then when I learned that wrestling was a replay at night, then I wouldn't watch wrestling in the morning. I'd wait until nighttime, or, you know, midday is, you know, summer and whatnot. So that's how it was just wrestling. It was beautiful. That was my first love. You weren't gonna tear me away from it. I just had to watch it. Just had to. And who was it? The dynamic dudes, they came and went. I was like, they all right. But why they got skateboards? They never use them. Not even to cheat. So I thought that was a dumb tag team because of that. You know, the Rock and Roll Express, I enjoyed them. I like the finish of the double drop kick and stuff. And I like the Fabulous Freebirds. I was because the new character, Bad Street. I guess it's their song, but they had them have a Bad Street. And others be like, let's figure out who Bad Street is. I'm like, why? Just watch. You know, do you really go to the movie theater and be like, man, let's find out every actor and sub-actor and background and extra. Let's find out their real name and what they actually do in life before we fully watch this movie. That guy in that movie there, see, that's Dwayne Johnson, right? Yeah. He didn't play that in the rundown. He had a different name. This movie's fake. No, just watch wrestling. Just watch wrestling. So, so I see these characters coming in and going. I see these weird storylines, as people was calling them, coming and going. And I'm like, why is all of this here? This don't make any sense. You know? And I see wrestlers coming in, Chono and whatnot. And I see Hector Guerrero and who's the other one? Hector Garza. I seen them. And I was like, where do they come from? What are they doing? And no women on the show. I mean, valets and whatnot. They did their subtle cheating, which I thought was pretty cool. It made sense. And that's not even hindsight. This is what I was thinking when I'm watching it. I remember when Flair was getting ready for his match. I think it was another with Luger. I think. And they went and checked Woman. They checked her, and she had on them beautiful forearm gloves. I don't know what they're called, the actual technical name, but the gloves that go up the forearm, and pulled out an object. I think it was supposed to be brass knuckles, or maybe it was a long vial of lip gloss or polish or something, but I don't know, it was something. I think it was slightly wrapped up, so they didn't eject it from the ring, but it was like, you found it, yada yada, and Flair was all upset. And WCW is where I learned to love and appreciate tag team wrestling. It's where I've learned to love and respect the aspect of defending a title, if they can, if they can't. At first I wanted to dislike what they would call later job guys. I didn't call them that. I didn't call them job guys. I didn't know the term. I didn't know enhancement wrestlers. I didn't know that. All I did was just watch, and I could just tell this guy is not going to make this match. This guy's going to get decimated. That's really all I knew. And I was like, okay, these guys are probably brought in. They've trained. They know what they're doing. Put them against a veteran and they're going to get stomped out, but at least they get some ring time. People get to see who they are. So maybe that's what it's all about. You get to see seen on TV. You get seen on TV, and maybe there's another wrestling, because I remember clicking through other channels way before then, those few years before. So I was like, maybe they get seen and picked up somewhere else. So WCW was also, to me, that land of opportunity to advance yourself as a professional wrestler. Fandom memories from a kid's mindset. So those characters come and go, and then it's not on TV as much. Just not. The WCW Saturday Night 605, that's all that there was. No other shows that I can recall. And that came on TBS. And for a short, brief moment, Counterforce 40. That was new. And that was, you had to put it on 12 and turn the bottom dial to, it was, good grief, it wasn't 40. It was something. The bottom dial had to be on 13 or 16, in that range. And that was Counterforce 40. And then 12 became WRAL or something like that. And it was hard to get certain channels in. I guess they were just too far out. In any case, they start, it was just characters, and then I didn't know who a lot of these people were. They just came in, it just fell apart. Ric Flair was gone, and I was ticked off at that. And he showed up in the enemy camp. So that started making me watch them more. And it was just wrestling, so I was going to really watch anything. It's just, if I had to, it's like, y'all come on at the same time, WCW is going to win out every time. So I was mad that Flair left. I was upset. And others, they were gone. Road Warriors were gone. The Steiners were here and there at points. Muta and Chono would come in, but against who? And I'd love to see Muta, but who? They brought back Wildfire Tommy Rich, who I heard so much about, and I watched him a little bit, and he's gone. And Eddie Gilbert, I think, and then it was just so spotty. Just here they are. They gone. Come back. Somebody's hurt. Not really. They're here. They're on the other channel. It's like, come on. So yeah, didn't know anything, and then they announced WCW will be on TNT. Okay. And that's when they introduced WCW Nitro. So I'm like, all right, I guess it'll be like Saturday night, just different channel, And I had seen what is it called? Global Championship Wrestling, something like that. I had seen that, and I saw the Ebony Express, and I saw some other people. And it's there, some wrestling. And by then, I wasn't really over grandma's anymore, period. I was just always at home. I started being left at home without a thought when I was 13. That's just how it was, back then. Now, just like, you can't leave your 13-year-old kid. And honestly, the way some kids are, yeah, I wouldn't leave them alone with somebody that's capable. I've seen some things. I've seen them. So Nitro begins. It's a nice set. It's a nice setup. Pyro. It's all, done up and whatnot. And I remember thinking, this is not going to go well if they got the same old stuff that's losing my interest. And I enjoyed the music. I enjoyed the setup. Is finally official. Is WCW. They got, because they had the WCW logo and stuff on the ring, but it just didn't feel official, if that makes any sense. You get your own TV show and whatnot. Okay, now y'all trying to, because it ain't just some 30-minute to an hour, because some shows were 30 minutes, some were an hour, some for 40 minutes. And you can tell 30-minute show because I record it and it's just 30 minutes of wrestling. The rest were commercials. That mess. Oh my goodness. And the thing I love the most, let me back it up. The thing I loved the most were Clash of Champions. The Clash of Champions were great because not only did the Clash of Champions show these title matches, they were always interesting, always good, and I would easily watch that over some other channel's pay-per-view, and plus it's free. My eyes were glued, and usually not long after a Clash of Champions, WCW would come to North Carolina where I could see it. Sometimes it's a drive out to see it. The most classic place, because my cousin and his dad didn't mind super long hour drives or whatnot. So we would drive way out to Dorton Arena to see these things. And Dorton Arena was never full, but it always had a lot of people. And it was always something to watch. When wrestling would come, the fans were always into it. Johnny B. Bad, Brian Pillman, who became Yellow Dog, their whole thing. And when that was over, then you got Johnny B. Bad, and he's, kind of like in the wind, sort of, but he was supposed to do something with Arn Anderson at Dorton Arena. And I remember this, going there, and I'm with my cousin, and I missed the whole match. I missed it. Arn Anderson, he gets on the microphone. It's like, I didn't drive my truck all the way here to Raleigh, North Carolina, from Los Angeles, California, just to wrestle some idiot boxer or something. And I glance over at these kids that are running, and I didn't want them knocking anything out of my hand. And poof, and the crowd erupts. And Arn Anderson is laid out in the ring at the ropes. Johnny B. Bad covers him 1, 2, 3. And I asked my cousin, what happened? He hit him. I was like, he hit him with what? This is Arn Anderson. He don't get knocked out. And it's like, he hit him. He just punched him. What? And I remember at that time, damn, no rewind. Can't rewind it. I was upset over that. And yeah, I wanted Arn Anderson to win over Johnny B. Bad because I liked Arn Anderson. Even back then, people love him now. And then they got to see him. It's like, who is this guy? Oh, he's the enforcer. And you got to teach him. And then, hey, these promos, these moves, best spine busting. People are like, yeah, we love him. I liked him way before anyone gave a damn. He was still making a name for himself. Pretty much at that point, he was still trying to come up. And a lot of you out there loved Arn Anderson way before people today, modern wrestling fans. And I'm talking about modern wrestling fans that are 30 years old, like period, just 30 years old in general. But I get it. Sometimes you're not there, and they're not there, because there's so many people like Dutch Mantel. I wish I could have appreciated him back in the day. I wish I could have appreciated Harley Race, more. And there's a lot of wrestlers I wish I could have appreciated more when I did see what little or whatnot. Luger as a heel, I didn't like him because he looked weak. He looked weak, but if I look at that whole series back then, now I might be like, okay, I get it. But back then, I was like, he don't look as strong. He don't act like he's strong. He doesn't feel like he really wants to be there. He doesn't look like that. So, Clash of Champions, getting back to that, I would always see, like, there was another one. It was after Ric Flair had just got past Scott Steiner. He beat Scott Steiner at Clash of Champions, and then he's to wrestle. He wrestled. Good grief, who did he wrestle? He came to Dorton Arena and he wrestled somebody. Good grief, it was Scott Steiner. That's when I met the Steiners. Briefly. So, the match, Ric Flair comes out. He's in his garb, he's in his robe, but he's got this Halliburton briefcase, this thick silver briefcase. I only seen people like that work at the Pentagon on TV and CNN and stuff carrying stuff like this. I was like, that belt must be in there. With the ropes, only farm rope was was keeping wrestlers from the fans and vice versa. All right. The ring, there was no railing, there was no bicycle railings, there was rope on posts. That's what Dorton Arena had. The fans just had a lot of respect. They would not go over that rope. And there was maybe 2 security guards per 2/4 of the fans. Meaning only one guard. Like, you got 4 posts of the ring. You got one guard at one post. There's 2 guards, adjacent posts, corner to corner, not on the same side of the apron. So that was it. That was security. That was all the security, and that was it. And Ric Flair gets in the ring. Scott comes out. He's by himself. They wrestle. They do it up for like 15 or 20 minutes. And it's good. It's nice. But then the Horsemen come out. They attack Scott. Ric Flair attacks him. It's a very, very short attack. It's like some stomp slams, figure 4, knee drop on the face, knee drop on the knee. Rick comes out, beats up the Horsemen a little bit. They scamper. Ric Flair gets the briefcase. It's pandemonium. The crowd's jumping up and down. It was just crazy because at first, no one even knew the card for this. And then they go in and then they talk. You go in, you get your program, you see the matches on there, and then people would leave. They have a bracelet on or some kind of stamp, they would leave, and then they would go back and call people, and then more people start flooding into the building. So it was like a quarter of a house for that. You just look around, you be like, whoa, people just run around from one side of the arena to the other and just go to the top of the seats and fool around there. But by the time this main event happened, like I'd say halfway through the card, you weren't doing that because it was like 80% filled at that moment, and it was thick in there. It because no AC and whatnot. Because at first it was cold. It was kind of cold, And then it, you know, got kind of thick and humid, and it stayed that way. And so having fun around like that, and after, when the event was over, you got those lingering people. And I remember my little cousin was like, you know, Sting was getting ready to leave, and Dad, you know, let's go follow Sting. I'm not getting a car and chasing that man down. And Sting was driving an Oldsmobile type car. I mean, a Buick or Oldsmobile. It was a big tank of a car. That's what he was driving. And he came out. He didn't have his face paint on. He had his gym shorts on, all that other stuff. No, he had his you know, just sweatpants, you know, muscle shirt kind of thing. He smelled like bologna. I remember that so much. He smelled like bologna. I got his autograph at that point. I got his autograph, and my cousin was like, "We got to go." And he gets to he does the autograph. He signed it. He is not skipping a beat. He is signing everybody's autograph. Everybody's. If they came up, he's signing it. If somebody would have threw down some paper that said, "Give me power of attorney," he would have signed it. He was just a robot signing it. And then, you know, he's like, "Okay, I gotta go, everybody," you know, and he waves and he gives a subtle little bow to everyone. He takes off. He kind of speed walks to the car, and he gets in, starts that thing up. You see the taillights come on, and you can hear him peel off. The wheels are screeching. The car slightly zigzags as he goes up to get to the intersection of the street. He stops for a brief second. There are no cars. And then he turns left. I'm like, he's going to that hotel down there. You can't drive too long smelling like that. And he was out of sight quick. And people turned their attention more to the ring. Ring crew taking down the ring. See some people that it was like a couple of referees, ring announcer, some jacked up, they just muscles. These dudes that was taking down the ring and stuff. And a few women, they was out there. They was more like, literally you could see that they were orchestrating. It was like, you do this, you do that. They was leading it. And I went up, we saw the Steiners. The Steiners were there. And they was like, "Look, we ready. We about to leave." And Scott, he was looking like, you can see on his face, I like the attention, but these people got to get out my face. You could see it. And Rick, he was kind of like, "Again, huh?" It's like, I just want to go home. And so I remember seeing him, and Rick had this, I didn't know what it was. It was just rolled up. And this kid was like grabbing at it. And Rick was lifting his hand like, "Get away from me." And Scott was looking like, "Man, why can't I just kick this kid in the face?" You can just see it. You can see that look in his eye. You can see it. And so I looked, and I just looked at it, and Rick was like, so he unrolls a little bit, and this is a Steiner Brothers poster. And he rolls it back up real quick, and I'm like, "Oh, okay." And this kid keep reaching for it, and I'm looking at him, and I know I was starstruck, but I wasn't an idiot either. It was more like, man, I know this is gonna sound dumb coming from me, even at this age, but I was like, y'all are real. Like, there's some people you see on TV, and if you got next to them, you'd be like, "Wow, you are short." Like, how did it make you like you're 7 feet tall on TV? But no, Rick, they were some tall boys, and they were big. That dude was bigger than what I saw on TV. I was like, TV shrinks the Steiners. And it could be the incline that they were on. I don't know. It could be a lot. But Rick looked at me, and he just handed the damn thing to me, and I took it. And the kid was looking like, "You fuck." You could see that kid was pissed. And when he did that, they all turned to me for a split second. Just as Arn Anderson was leaving the one of the tunnels. It was there's two different tunnels you could take. And not for entrances. One was entrances and the other was just, I don't know what they did, just part of the building. But that was the point where me and my cousin, we saw Booker T getting his leg worked on during one of the last times that they went to Dorton Arena. He was getting his leg worked on. It was one of the matches Harlem Heat had. And they had it with good grief. It was some makeshift team. It was Johnny B. Bad and somebody. It was Johnny B. Bad and PN News. They had stuck together for that night. And I don't know, things must have went bad, but Booker T was getting his leg worked on. He was wincing in pain. And so it was just a side area. You got to walk a little bit to get to it anyway. And when we was looking, I was like, man, I was like, I hope he's all right. You know, feeling pretty bad. And hey, what y'all doing here? And it was one of the medics or whatever. He's like, y'all get out of here. And we ran. We teleported to him. I don't know. It was quick. We got back to our seats and stuff, and you know, so. But those kids, when Arn Anderson was coming out, they kind of paid attention to him, and I just walked off. And Scott, he looked at me for a second, and I was just looking at it with this. I probably had this closed. It was closed mouth, but this goofy smile. And I was just like, man, this dude is big. What would I say? How could I say it? But Scott looked at me and he had this subtle smile and kind of like, that lit me up. You know, that kind of thing. Like, that made me feel better. And Rick was like, come on. I mean, it didn't sound like you normally would. You know, hey, Scott, come on. No, it was different. Come on. Like, oh. Scott had to look like he ain't going to be my big brother forever. I'm going to get bigger and kick your ass. You know, just, I've seen those look in brothers' eyes and stuff. And so that endeared me more to the Steiners. And then I also remember going to the concession stand and I wanted to buy a wall scroll, well, a poster. And I wanted the Sting one. I bought it. It was like $5.95 or something. So I gave him $6.25 or something. Just threw it out there because that's all I had left anyway. And I get it. So I got 2 Steiner posters, you know, because that's what happened. It won't Sting. All the Sting was bought out and they just had all the Steiners left. That's all they had left. The Steiners was in the Sting area. It was in the Steiners area. And it was also in the WCW logo area too. So I had 2 Steiners. And both of them are destroyed. Wear and tear over time. Put them up on the wall. They just wear and tear. You know, you don't mess with them. You just put them up and just leave them. And they just, over time, wear and tear. Let's see. WCW, after that little story, that tangent. I didn't like how Nitro went. Because they didn't have, Nitro went back then the way AEW started. It was the exact same. Why are these matches happening? You know, okay, you make a random match. Cool, a cold match, no problem. But does it mean anything? Ranking? Does it mean somebody's going to get jumped? No, nothing. Promos were, you could tell top 10. It was like, look, Nitro is top talent. So first hour, and at first it was just an hour. So you got like the first 30 minutes with these quick junior matches that no one cares about. And then you get the big dog talent coming in, Sting and them. And Sting, by this point, Sting was rarely there. Rude was supposed to be there, but he won't there anymore. And it's like, you know, Nitro just wasn't that exciting. But I love wrestling. And WCW, I'm a committed type guy, so it's got me. I'm there. It's got me. And then, you know, quickly, Malenko, Benoit, Jarrett, all these others coming in. Eddie Guerrero, Rey Mysterio Jr., they're coming in. They're beefing things up. You know, and Benoit's like, let me christen me and Eddie's time here with this epic power bomb. The loudest power bomb in wrestling. I've seen power bombs off the top rope. No, that had to have been the loudest, most destructive. That's why it's called a wild bomb. And in Japan, I can only imagine how that feel on those mats. So here, when he power bombed Eddie, good grief. And then slowly, those wrestlers were turned into, hey, you've built yourselves up. You're a threat. You're strong. Now you're going to put over the guys that are over you. So you're going to have these long contested matches. Well, not long. They're like 5 and 7 minutes. A good duration of a match. They put over Diamond Dallas Page. You know, they was putting over Kevin Nash and others who would, you know, well, they were gone by then. Vinny Vegas, he was already in WWF by then, my bad. But just, if, you know, they just want, the juniors were to make the mid-carders look strong enough to be a threat to the top card people. And that was annoying because I could see it happening. And by then I had already had my match style and whatnot. I had that eye almost mastered. And I'm like, oh, this match is over here. Oh, I see what's finna happen here. I see what's finna happen there. Yada, 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 yada. And just as it started to get bad, because it was starting to, you know, it started off random and no one cared. Then it beefed up and then it started to peter out. And then they bring in the New World Order. We're taking over. The Outsiders and Hogan, they come in. They're doing their thing. And this began the downfall of WCW. In the eyes of a fan. In the eyes of a viewer. Not the behind the scenes and all that crap. No, this, because the NWO was a threat. And it's like, what is Hogan and them doing here? You know what? And the war slowly begins. And it's a whole bunch of crap. And it's not ending. And they're building it up. There's more members. There are more, you know, and Bischoff goes, this is when Bischoff made me dislike him as a human being. It's not to say the man ain't intelligent or nothing like, no, it's just at this moment, and I know it's wrestling and I know that the point is to tick somebody off. And that's exactly what he was doing, and it worked. It was Christopher Daniels, and please forgive because I can't remember who else it was. It was Christopher Daniels and somebody else. Mike Tenay was talking about how Christopher Daniels had wrestled all over the world and all this other stuff for so many years. And I think that was like his first or second year in wrestling. Something like that. And this is boring, everybody. So instead of wrestling, because Christopher Daniels was showing that he's a wrestler, you know, and I was liking what I was seeing. This is boring. Okay. They stopped. They just stopped the match. And then they start slugging at each other, just beating each other in the face with this. Boring. This is dumb. This is boring. So then they throw each other, start stomping on each other. Boring. And Bischoff is just calling it boring. Then they go out and get the chairs and started hitting each other with chairs and dueling chairs. And Bischoff was like, there we go. And then I think somebody ran in and beat the hell out of him. I can't remember. I can't remember that after that. Because I remember I turned it off. I turned my brain off. So over time, NWO gains members. And just kept getting, they had, they did the, oh man, I hated that whole country versus rap feud crap. But in any case, rap is crap. I'm like, okay. And country is whiny. That's what I would think in my head. Rap is crap and country is whiny. All right. So, while NWO gains more members and people coming from the WWF, they had Virgil, Randy Savage, Elizabeth, obviously. They had so many members. They had to break off, and then you had the formulation of NWO Wolfpack, which was coolest WCW music that there was. And then you had to have Latino World Order. Just on the other side of the wrestling pond, you had the Blue World Order. And then there was another place, you had the Women's World Order. And then in this one, these are other promotions. And let's see, it won't just Latino World Order. There was another World Order there. This is stupid. I was like, this is embarrassing. I was like, this is stupid and this embarrassing. And that's where I was at the time. These are my exact. Me and Cedric was talking about how dumb it is. And like, we're taking over. That Scott Norton. They had all these people. Then you had NWO Japan. Which was a smaller but yet confined group of their top heels and whatnot. Even Kojima was part of it, and I was like, okay. And he remembers Blazes. I thought that was cool. I left him on that Twitter, and he was like, I like that. I just don't know. And, I mean, I thought this was my thought. Okay, the plan was WCW is probably going to go out of business, or they don't like it. Now this is what I thought at the time, so don't crucify me too much. I thought WCW was going to be going out of business. So Eric Bischoff got the NWO. He's got the best talent from a rival promotion. He's going to keep hiring the best talent from that rival promotion because that's what he did. Sounds a bit like what AEW is doing, right? Except AEW is too young. So just throwing that out there. But this WCW has been around for a bit. A branch off of NWA. So I thought they was going to get the wrestlers. And the whole WCW company would be nothing but NWO. And then they just leave. Start on another channel. And it's NWO Wrestling. I just thought it'd be their own company. It's NWO. And then that's when they would start breaking down, because now the company's whole NWO is black and white. And then that way they can just say, okay, we got the top talent, we've got the viewers, yada yada. Now we can just start running a promotion and get away from WCW and let them just toil. That's what I was hoping, because it made no sense for 80% of your roster to be one faction. So that's what I came up with in my mind at that time. And good grief. Then it happens. And then it happens. Vince McMahon, Shane McMahon, they own WCW. So he bought it. There were rumors going about this, but then I'm standing there and I'm watching this, and everything around me just ceased to exist. It was that surreal. I'm like, no. I didn't like a lot of stuff. I didn't like Vince Russo being champion. I didn't like Bret Hart being put out of wrestling. I didn't like the whole thing with Diamond Dallas Page and what was it, Kimberly or Kim Page or something. I didn't like that whole drama thing. There's a lot that I didn't like. But even though WCW was not what I grew up with, it was still separate and something else to watch other than WWF. Didn't like it. What am I going to do with it? I was thinking that what would happen is that he bought it and now everything's going to run the same, but you might see some of those WWF wrestlers come there and attack or something, or start some extra story stuff. But no, that was a sad day for me. And then it was worse that night because it was done. The deal had been done and we only just found out much later. Flair and Sting, they go out. Sting says, come on, let's do it one more time for old time's sake. And they have one of their classic matches, shortened in just a few minutes. But they went through everything. They just cut out all the rigmarole and whatnot. But they have their classic match. Sting win. And they hug each other. And I am bawling. And that hurt. It hurts thinking about it. I always know about it. Always, every once in the blue moon I think about it. But retelling it, it throws me right back there. It puts me right back at the end of professional wrestling. Because even though they had overdone the NWO, even though they were not showcasing, their junior talent like they should, when you saw Shane Helms, he come out with his dancers and whatnot, had a theme song for his finisher, the Vertebreaker. Chris Benoit, that stiff, strong style. Dean Malenko, catch as catch can, counter for counter, able to smoothly roll with anything. Eddie Guerrero, high speed, high counter, and high flying. Booker T, heavy hitting, subtle martial artist in certain regards. Five-time WCW champion. Even though a lot didn't like him, but still Goldberg, who at first was Bill Goldberg, seemed power, agility. Goldberg was a different style and people don't even want to acknowledge it. Kevin Nash, Scott Hall, seeing them. Tag team wrestling was going away. I was losing everything. Everything. And without that competition, and there's only one thing, the only one left was ECW. And I think that was gone, but no one had really noticed it. Got to finalize those contracts and then it's gone. Just like WCW, no one knew about it. The deal had been done for maybe 2 or 3 months, and then there you go. Because one thing I noticed that on that show, when Vince showed up, none of the talent was surprised. I didn't think about that then. And I know what I said in the beginning of this, but I remember watching and being stunned, and the others watching like they're looking at a movie. And I'm like, oh my damn. So yeah, that was the end of of pro wrestling. I could say as we know it, but no, that was the end of professional wrestling. Because WCW, trying to compete with WWF, killed their pro wrestling and was substituting it for drama and all the other stuff. And like I said then, and like I say today, you don't be like the competition. You be something the competition needs to fear. You got to be your own. Draw eyes to your style, your policies. And that way, those that's been resting on their laurels, thinking they're bigger than everybody else, they start to understand they're not so big. And all of their fans, while they're still retaining them, it's not that they're simply watching your competition at that point, but your competition is drawing new eyes. So they got yours and new eyes, and you can't get those new eyes. And then those new eyes might tell those old eyes, stop watching that old show. If your product isn't good, that won't happen. And if you think about how things are today with modern wrestling, that don't happen for that reason, because there's nothing new. I miss WCW. There was one, I had a couple of dreams that WCW reformed just like down the street of where I used to live. And the whole setup was, they cleared out a forest and built the arena. It was like, this is where we're going to hold it, yada, yada, yada. And just 6 months later, AEW show up with almost all the trimmings of WCW. And I had a good, beautiful feeling until the show started. And I was like, what is this? And I couldn't go watch WWE because they buried everyone they got from WCW. Pretty much put them out of work, and then the work they gave them, they humiliated them. So, yeah. Tragic ending in my mind. Well, been going for a while. I think that sums everything up. Hope I answered and, unveiled and stuff. There's a lot of things. Yeah, there's a lot of things. I might come up with, I might do some small, short ones, because I think the statutes and limitations would be up by now, certain things. So I can probably tell those in a completely different upload. But yeah. Fandom Memories, WCW. This has been Cedric Kennedy for CR Wrestling Commentary. Y'all stay safe out there. See you next time.